Hello everyone, welcome to another horrific unboxing. I was going to do this tomorrow morning or something, but I thought, let's do it now. Even though I'm tired, I want to wee lie in the morning, and then I want to spend a lot of time getting admin and stuff done for this. You know how it is, busy. Anyway, here we go. Do you know one day I'm going to get one of these, open it up, and it's not going to be what I thought. I'm going to have egg in my face, but all the bells and whistles tell me this is what I ordered and it's arrived. Quite heavy. Yep, we're in luck. And of course we have some plastic. Let's get rid of some of that. We don't need any plastic. Making shiny stuff in the camera. Camera doesn't like plastic. I think my camera's a heavy. It's like, no plastic! I don't know how it work. Oh, there's a separator thing. Oh, cool. Right. So we have 7th edition Call of Cthulhu Keeper's Rulebook. Just give you an idea. It's chunky, quite a lot of it. If you saw from my unboxing video, I'm going to attempt to use the starter pack. I think the rule book there is just really do have a character sheet, have the basics, and then just jump into a game. So this is obviously for the more involved campaigns. I actually joined a couple of Cthulhu. We've only joined 2, literally a couple, but it's not a big thing on Facebook and the Facebook groups. Loads of horror stuff so it makes me wonder because this game's been around for donkey's years, from the early 80s. Been around almost as long as D&D, but for some reason the following isn't as extensive as that game. No, I haven't obviously used it. I had a gaming club every Sunday, all day, and I basically became exposed to every RPG you could imagine. Because different people wanted to run games. We all wanted to play, have a go. We all sat around the table. And usually last thing at night when all the tabletop guys, the war gamers, which I'm one as well, but usually the war gaming stuff wrapped up early. We all went out to the kitchen, we rented out a tennis club, and then we play some form of RPG. But it was good. It gives you insight to different games, different systems, and what they were. Now, sadly, I did not have loads of experience as a GM. I might have had a crack like a handful of times. So, I've a game planned next Saturday, as you well know, and I just want to be prepared. But, God, this is a full week's reading on its own, so it's going to be interesting. So we have table of contents. It's getting cool. This is where the book's that nice and shiny. You hate that because you're like, oh no, I'm breaking the spine. But here we go, table of contents. I'll talk you through it. We have overview of the game, example of play, what you need to play. Chapter 2, Lovecraft and the Cthulhu Mythos. Chapter 3, Creating Investigators. Chapter 4, Skills. Chapter 5, Game System. Chapter 6, Combat. Chapter 7, Chases. Chapter 8, Sanity. Everyone's favourite for this. That's the unique thing about this game. Excuse me. Chapter 9, Magic. Chapter 10, Playing the Game. Chapter 11, Tomes of Eldritch Lore. Excuse me. And I've got the lovely coffee game. Chapter 12, Grimoire, Spells, Deeper Magic, the Grimoire. Chapter 13, Artifacts and Alien Devices. Chapter 14, Monsters, Beasts, and Alien Gods. Chapter 15, Scenarios. So we got 2 scenarios. Amidst the Ancient Trees and Crimson Letters. And then finally, Chapter 16, the appendices. So we've got Glossary, converted to 7th edition rules, equipment, 1920s, actually quite useful. Might seem silly, but if you're talking about weapons like handguns, we don't talk about cameras because if you watch the character building sheet, it's a private investigators, and we're making the joke about the huge bulb cameras of the 1920s, but I do think there was more sneaky stuff, so it'll be, in fact, we'll do it here. Have a nosy. Equipment, modern era, weapons table, rules summaries, investigator sheet, 1920s, investigator sheet, modern era. So that's quite cool. So you've got the option, if anyone's experienced this game or looked up any sort of video, you're not restricted to the 1920s. Yes, it's fun to play in that era. It's fun to dress up a wee bit, just do whatever, and immerse yourself in that world. But Cthulhu is eternal. So you can go as far back in the past you want, you can go to the present, or even the future, which can lead to some interesting scenarios. So it'll be a fun, futuristic game where even all the gadgets and gizmos, well, even today, with everyone got a phone connected to the internet, can instantly reach people, but that can all get torn apart. So that's the whole point of this game. It's you're staying against the tide of the great old ones at the end of the day. Now the levels are always, the adventures are more lower level, dealing with cultist plots, and that's usually how it manifests. But the ultimate point of the Cthulhu Mythos is to go to Ryla, meet Cthulhu, and forever never be the same person. So you can kind of guess this will take a minute. It'll be like a 3-hour stream, and nobody's on yet. I just did this one off the cuff anyway, so probably people just seeing it. But let's how we look at it. Let's jump a wee bit and go to the equipment. Equipment 1920s 396. Oh, I'll tell you what. Sorry, just noticed this. You'd be tempted just to get yourself in crafting, and then put that in a frame. There's some really nice artwork. That's the thing about horror in general. The artwork that the imagination pulls is amazing. When you delve into the darkest recesses of your mind, and when you get a few talented people, it's amazing what you can actually achieve. And I think that's why horror movies can actually draw you in, even though some of them are poor. I'll not lie, and you've seen the movie reviews I've done, quite a lot of them I get sucked in because of the cover, because the covers are always well done, and then you watch a shitty movie, you're like, ah. But in general, horror, and especially the Cthulhu Mythos, for an unknown author at the time, and for such a niche, sad story. Well, he wrote obviously a ton of stories, but for such a niche thing, this guy really did inspire a lot of people. And the whole slew of artwork and games, and it actually annoys me when Chaosium, for example, slag the guy off. Oh, you're racist. Using the language of the day doesn't mean the language of the day was quite nice, but he wasn't like a hermit. He was just a person at the time. So I don't see how you can slag somebody off that and simultaneously leech off their work. Pick your poison sort of thing. That's very hypocritical. I have a problem with hypocrisy, But yeah, for something, person jotting down ideas. Do you think I've been thinking about this? I think what confuses people is he's written a lot of stories in the first person sense. Some people read first person, think the characters there's not a character, it's the author just being the author. But it's just a method of writing and expression. So there you go. I just there's a bit of a thing, especially the woke mob. They seem to pick an author or creator and like, oh, that's the evil person. Yeah, not like any cult. They need the enemy. But anyway, I'm going off on a wee tangent. So we've got men's clothing, worsted wool dress suit, cashmere dress suit no hair. Oh, that'll be scratchy as hell. Yep. Women's clothing, chic designer dress. There's a whole set. I'm not reading out everything. Meals out, chicken dinner, $2.50 a person. Breakfast, 45 cents, which is about 20p. Flip's sake. Lunch, 63 cents. Dinner, 125. So a chicken dinner was considered in the 1920s the aperitif. That was fine dining. Okay. There you go, nice. Speakeasy prices, lodging. So, if you know, I mentioned when we were doing the character creation session before next week, our characters are going to get a whopping $25 for their expenses. So this kind of puts it in perspective what you can buy, which is good. It's good to know your limitations because something's being played in the modern world, like medieval times, you can get away a bit with being a bit loosey goosey with the old finances, but 1920s, 20th century, it's not going to work. So it's good to have a wee bit of ground. It also keeps the player characters in check, that they can't go, oh, I'm going to go buy a mansion and hire a manservant to do my investigating for me. You have the limitations, so you kind of have to work that out. It makes it a bit more of a challenge. Real estate, medical equipment, outdoor and travel gear. Telescope. Miscellaneous. Here we go. Miscellaneous investigator tools. This will be interesting. So, handcuffs, extra handcuff key, because police whistle, dictaphone. Is that the cassette tape dictaphone? Remember cassettes invented? I need to check that out. I don't think it's the click. It's not the dictaphone. What movie did we watch and review? Nightmare Alley with Bradley Cooper, and he went to the psychiatrist. Kate Blanchett's character, the psychiatrist's office. She was that the dictaphone that she used that actually spun on the record? I think that's more in line. I don't think the old wee clicky cassette tape, because I remember those in the 80s, but I had one because I like gadgets. Friggin' super expensive. If you saw our review of Archive 81, we're talking about the JVC flipping camcorders, but the tiny JVC cassette tape that went in it they're flipping 10 quid each, so they're super expensive. So you're actually cheaper buying a converter thing and buying a load of VHS than those. You're better just having maybe 2 or 3 of those. Which we'll have to just interesting when we talk about equipment and the cost. Dictaphone $39.95. Consider what I said about the money. So that's like that's the equivalent of today getting your 50-inch TV. Let's be honest. So this is serious equipment. So you're not just going to have one of those. Let's watch Gold Watch. Remington typewriter, Harris typewriter, pocket microscope. And then 110 times desk microscope, floor safe, £950, umbrella, Turkish water pipe. Oh, what? Colin McGill and record hookahs, I use that one. Cool. Cigarettes per pack. This will make a smoker depressed. 10 cents for a pack of cigarettes. Box of cigars, that was annoying me and Adam and Cameron, but $2.29 for a box of cigars. My God, if only. Actually worse, ever since I got back to the UK, friggin' cigars over here are super expensive. Won't even touch them. They're friggin' absolutely ridiculous price. Cambridge Dictionary, Cambridge Encyclopedia. Wet sponge respirator. And what would be that? Need to look that one up. Pocket magnifying glass, so actually the Sherlock Holmes type thing. Bible, briefcase, rulebook stand. You buy one of those, and that's no, that's the whole point. Glass door, bookcase, baby buggy, chemical fire extinguisher, watchmakers, so vehicle accessories, travel. Sea voyage, US England, back and forth. First class, one way, $120. First class round trip, $200. A four-man hot air balloon, $1,800. $1,800. Oh, you gotta get that idea again. You gotta get that idea again. A hot air balloon to go and see a monstrosity and get high enough and still not get high enough to reach its tip. It won't be in this game. There's only a short one, but I'm planning this game to be hopefully the start of things. Right. So there's weapons, communications, telegrams, postage, entertainment. So I need to look up, just out of interest, phonograph records. What's like the megafilm and stuff, megafish? I don't travel there. Right, so there's an absolute ton of stuff here. So that's the whole point. It's everything that you need. You can have a look at equipment, and this is part of the, when you're sitting down with a character in person, and you want to go through a lot of things, you have it all here. Let's have a look at chapter 10, playing the game, 182. Because as I said, I'm new to this. I'll not lie. I'm a wee bit nervous about next week, just because I want to do a decent. I want to put on a decent game. People have fun. Now, I'm lucky enough. I've got two great players, so that makes my life easier. Adam and Derek are great guys, and they're invested, so that always makes things easier. But still, you've always got that wee bit of will it be prepared enough? I think this kind of goes into when you act as being the keeper can be immensely rewarding. You get to make a lot of decisions about what happens during the game, present the mystery to the players, and betray numerous non-player characters and monsters. You'll also be the final arbiter on how rules are applied, and this chapter contains advice and guidance intended to help you use those rules to best effect. Before reading this chapter, make sure you have read chapters 4 to 9. Let's see what chapters 4 to 9 are. Four skills, game system, combat, chases. Right, so basically everything that's involved in the game, which is a fair one. Like I said, I'm reading this just for this at the moment. I plan to be doing a lot of reading over the week, but I'm not. Once again, I don't want to be overthinking it. You overthink things, it doesn't work. You don't get the natural flow. But new keepers, when you act as a keeper, you become the game moderator. Whether you're using a published scenario or creating one of your own, you alone know the story plot and the likely outcomes of the solution. Your job is to present the mystery and story during play. Oh, good. Right. Incidentally, playing the roles of monsters and sinister or ordinary people that the investigators meet. You have responsibility for preparing and running the scenario without bias. Above all else, you should listen to your players and react to what they say and do. Having a good understanding of the game and rules is essential in enabling you to answer player questions and to be able to present the material fairly. You'll find individual monster and spell descriptions in other chapters. You don't need to memorize this information, just be familiar with it. So it's more a case of knowing where to go in the book. You don't have to sit and be a rules lawyer. And that's the thing that might put a lot of people off. And I definitely not. Like I said, you've watched me open this and doing right in front of you. You've seen me with the starter set. That's after 20 years. And like I said, I've only GM'd a couple of games. It's not like a AD&D game and God, what else? A werewolf game and something that, that's literally a handful of times. So I'm not sitting here as some expert. But I think that's good. Come on the journey with me. As I do the Keeper thing. Come on the journey and you watch me bumble through it. You have every opportunity to. That's the way I look at things. With purchase of this book and some dice, you have everything you need to play Call of Cthulhu. That's the thing about RPGs, role-playing games. It's not like tabletop game where you have to buy a ton of miniatures and you have to collect armies and scenery and paint and that. Now, certain games encourage that. D&D, for example, you can do that if you wish and build it into it. You've seen it. This is not taken away from that whatsoever. But the whole point is that you need minimal equipment. You can sit around a table and have a good adventure for a couple of hours. If you've seen me appearing on Adam's channel, Dragonlance Saga, you'll see that even using the Roll20 system, there's not much there. It's a few tokens, it's a board, and it's only representational. We're not sitting playing a video game. The whole point is your imagination, your willingness to take part, and camaraderie, understanding what you're doing. It's not I gotta win. It's we're here for good time, create an adventure, and have a bit of a laugh. And I hope you've seen that so far and what I've played, and that's what I'm bringing across, because that's what this is all about. So therefore, once you have the book, once you have a few dice and some people to play with, you're good. It's recommended that you start with Either of the Haunting, Call of Cthulhu Quick Start Rules, free download at www.chaosium. That's what we're playing next week. If you've seen starting, or Amidst the Ancient Trees. That might be one for later. These scenarios have been specifically presented for new keepers with advice dotted throughout the text. Pick one to play, read the scenario through, and then invite some friends over to play. Have them create investigators together. We've done that. Be sure you have the relevant sheets printed out or photocopied in advance. Well, we use Roll20, so we do that online. So this is something that you might see in the 8th edition, bringing the online generators in. This is still very much with you buy the book and you sit in front of the table. The world's kind of changed a bit, although nothing beats sitting in close proximity, with your friends, having this. That's what this is all designed to do. Sit around a table, have a laugh. However, the world today, it's difficult to find people in your area that are into the same things. The joys of being online, like me sitting here talking to you guys now, is that you're not limited anymore by your locale. So I don't think I'd find everywhere in this wee village. So, I know exactly what it's like. And the travel hours, or for it to be an overnight thing, because you have to travel so far to meet people to play with, that can be frustrating. At least with online availability, you're removed from that. You can meet people, you can put out calls, you can join groups, and you can play with people from all over the world and still have the same experience. Because if you've seen, as this is only meant to be a book, some dice on the table, it doesn't really take much to translate onto this. So it's not really a big thing. Plus, there's no requirement to stream. I just happen to be a podcaster and love streaming. So that's what I'm doing, making content as well as playing a game. But the games are designed that you just log in, meet people, and play online and talk to each other without actually like streaming the world. You know, it's private. So once again, there's no hard and fast way to do it. No one way is better than the other. So, you know, as long as you're taking part in playing and having fun, that's the main thing. You may wish to invent your own scenarios. That's great, but it's probably best to start with the ones in the book or consult one of the many Call of Cthulhu scenarios. Like I said, recently I joined two groups. There's one I'm active in, because I haven't seen much in the way of posting in the other one. But the one I'm active in, what I'm really impressed by, there are people actually writing scenarios and publishing them, writing books, delving into the mythos, making this thing more expanded. And that's great. So don't stress about, there's no shame in using as a scenario. That's what the whole point of being let out. You can chop and change it. You can tweak it a bit, tweak it a lot, but it's giving you something to start with. Nothing wrong with that. As long as everyone's having fun, so be it. Okay, finding players. Okay, so you've got Call of Cthulhu Rulebook, some role-playing dice, and you're ready to run a game. Except you've got no players. What can you do? Here are a few ideas to get you gaming. Talk to your friends, show them a rulebook, and tell them about how cool the game sounds. Perhaps get them to read one of Lovecraft's stories and see if they like it. Preferably a short one like The Outsider. You could also ask family members to try the game. Essentially, you only need a keeper and one player. If you get 2 or 3 players together, it's ideal. Yeah, this is different from D&D, for example. D&D works best, and Dragonlance and the variants, when you have a party, as a group of 6 people, say. But it works best because then you have the different types of classes, characters, healers, warriors, and it fits better. This you can you can play yourself. I've seen that when I did Alone Against the Flames, but you only need 1 or 2 players. Because of the nature of the game with the investigators, you don't need 10. I mean, you don't need 5 or 6 players. In fact, I would argue, and correct me if you don't think I'm right, but if you have too many players with each of these games, it's going to get over convoluted. And you're going to struggle to find enough. It's like having a story and too many characters and you don't know what to do with them all. So you're better with a small group of people. So that's what it's kind of designed for. And it doesn't mean you have to play with the same people every time. And you can't bring somebody in for a session. You know, once again, it's life. You figure it out. If the goodwill's there and the willingness, you'll figure it out. That's kind of the way it works. What else? Ask your local hobby store, or put in those up, talk to staff in the hobby store. So this is all talking once again about physical world, meeting people. But don't forget online, you've got groups on social media. On the Roll20 system, you can put out a call for players. I've obviously got people together that I've role played with before in another game, including podcast work, so that you're not limited. But I think this is designed. This is written for the person going like, "Oh, I want to do this," but rabbit in the headlights, a bit overwhelmed by it all. There's plenty of ways to get people involved. If you're struggling, and I've seen it in like groups and stuff as well, people saying like looking for players that can play this time. Don't get disheartened if you don't hear straight away, because people have lives and stuff. Don't be afraid to, not just this channel, but if you see channels on YouTube doing it, drop a comment. Okay, looking to play a game, blah blah blah. Anybody there? You don't know who you're going to meet. You know, that's kind of the joy of it. If you're interested, obviously reach out to the channel. Just bear in mind that we have a busy schedule in the background, a lot of stuff going on. Timings might be a thing. International timings is also a thing, but It's an option. But there's other Cthulhu channels as well, so don't just worry about focusing on that one thing. You know, put a couple of feelers, don't overstretch yourself. But there's no reason why you can't find people to play with or people to play your game. You know, don't overthink it. Okay, so preparing to play the game. The purpose of role playing is to have a good time. You've heard me say this loads of times. Anyway, that's it. It's not a I gotta win. It's no prize at the end. And it's the same as being a GM/keeper. You're not there to beat your players. You're there to run the scenario, but you gotta, if things go off the cuff, you kind of gotta go with it because that's part of the fun. If that makes sense. As long as you're telling a good story, and then you'd be surprised how you'll talk back about, oh, did this, did that. Because in the moment, just have a good time. Excuse me. I should not need saying, but with any hobby, some people get so caught up in the moment that they lose sight of its most basic of requirements. I've seen that with Vampire the Masquerade. That game is horrendous for people taking it too seriously. It's you've heard me talk about White Wolf games. I had to ban them completely because people were like proper falling out with each other. And I think because the nature of that game is to like screw each other over in the game. It's the guy was playing Mastermind because I just wanted to, as a role player, or sorry, war gamer, so I think I just want to roll dice and shoot things and stuff. And I had a bit of fun. I played Adventure once or twice, but I couldn't get into that side of things. And then when people were actually falling out with each other, I'm like, nah. Werewolf's different. Werewolf the Apocalypse is a bit better. Well, we'll say better. More tuned to me in terms of you're part of a pack. You have different goals. It's not that same backstabbing with the vampire game, which is cool. So not saying off all White games, but you had to draw lines. People get a bit too silly with it. Trying to play in a room, there's no one but the gaming group. Having your daughter run around the table or your brother watching football on TV in the same room is not going to help. Yeah, I don't need to say to any guys, most people watch this channel have seen Stranger Things. The basement, you all hung out. It doesn't have to be fancy. You just have to have pace. People not walking about and stuff. Gaming clubs can be tricky. I used to go to one on a Tuesday night, and I was sat up in the bar. But the only thing was that it was one of the open. The tables were all around the edge, and a couple of mills. So you got in the booth and you were okay. You still have that chance of people coming in and making noise and stuff. As long as it's not excessive, nothing will be. You'll never have the perfect gaming spot. You don't have to build a gaming room or anything like that. So, as long as you're comfortable. Set up the gaming area appropriately, close the curtains, dim the lights a little. Remember, you still need to be able to read the scenario. That's why I didn't change just the different colors, because I wouldn't be able to see the book. Still needs to see the investigator sheets and the dice. Using low light lamps, LED pen lights, or candles is very effective, but never leave lit candles on the tent. Yeah, fucking health and safety here. Jesus Christ, tell me how to suck eggs. Don't even mention, if you're worried about people leaving lit candles and burning the place down, don't mention it. Fucking, sorry, it just winds me up. Turn mobile phones off. Yeah. During the game, likewise, put away computers and tablets. Yeah. You shouldn't be sitting, you shouldn't be on an RPG, taking part in playing your phone and stuff. That's common sense. Come on, if you're going to the trouble of making a character and meeting up and setting the time aside, you want to play the game. Setting the tone. Consider what sort of game you want to run. You can aim for high tension, over the top schlock horror, or pulp action romp. Having said that, the default mode for this game is tend to be horror, with some action scenes thrown into the mix. You should decide as a group whether the game is to be serious or jocular, comedy and horror, or good bedfellows. We all know that. Anyone that's a fan of horror knows comedy, horror, sex and horror are the best friends. Probably not going to mention sexiness. Bet you they'll want out of it. Great effect of many movies. However, too much comedy lessens horror. The way that you act as Keeper reinforces and undermines the tone, keeping in mind that the players take their lead from you. Only what you say, but how you behave. Yeah, so if I'm going to sit and go murmur, players aren't going to get energized. So it's kind of your, you got to give a wee bit of energy to the group. Even if you've got 2 players, you still got to give it yourself. That goes without saying. Right. Sure, jokes and laughing are important. Yeah, because you're getting a high tense situation or bad dice rolls. That's my thing. I have seen people throw hissy fits. I mean, I've seen people throw on full-on hissy fits if they get a bad dice roll, as if it's been done deliberately to them. I say, no. Build the bad dice roll into the game and just bloody laugh about it. Just go with it. And then when you do get a success, you act surprised and you go with that too. There you go, that's part of the fun. People that lose their minds over everything not going 100% their way, you need to have a wee word with yourself. Honestly, you need to just set yourself down, go have a wee talk with yourself and sort out your life priorities. Oh, there is Chris. Sorry, I just missed you last night. You just come on as I left. Looking forward to watching session 2. Yeah, I'm looking forward to running it. I was saying at the start of the stream, I'm a wee bit nervous, but when you want to do well, you can't help but be nervous. Distasteful historical themes. Do I want to read this? Am I going to get preached to about? Yeah, guess what? Every age is more progressive than the last. That's the world. We didn't think the same way we did 10 years ago. We didn't think the same way we thought 100 years ago. Guess what? We're not going to think the same way in 10 years from now as we do. That's society. Right, hold on. If this gets to, because I know that's what I said, these guys have slagged off Lovecraft, they've preached a bit, they've done some woke shit, which is just annoying. But they want to make money off the person's work, which is hypocritical. Oh God. And plus, if you're fucking playing a horror game and you're worried about the distasteful themes, get a grip. My God. Distasteful issues may arise during the game. You may feel that your portrayal of a fictional prejudice and bigot, here we go, is worthy of an Oscar. However, another player may find it offensive. Right. And this is what I'm talking about, the sort of person who'll find things offensive are the same ones that will throw a hissy fit if the dice rolls go wrong. That's just you as a bad character, a weak person who can't interact with others or accept the world. Now, one thing I don't, and another reason why I don't like Vampire is I don't like bullying. One thing I do not like are bullies. That's when people start ganging up on one person, and I've seen it done in game, and then it translates to the outside. That's shit. But if you're going to play an evil character, if you're going to play a flipping drunken womanizing booze hound, you're going to play that. It does not mean it's you. The whole point of role playing is you step out of yourself. If you're going to go into a role play, if I'm going to go into a role playing game and be Colin every bloody time, that's not role playing. Jesus, I can't believe I have to explain this, but fucking just the banal language. Kind of annoyed. The only thing is that this game's been going long enough. When these idiots, when the 8th edition and 9th edition, most of these morons that have started imposing this crap, they'll be long gone. Because it's like every company, they're in every company now, and they're bloody annoying. So, was that it? That was just the one. Scenario authors and keepers can choose to ignore social history as not germane or decide to incorporate specific elements in their plots. Right. you're searching for ghosts. You're trying to solve a mystery. That's the focus of the game. Now, if you want to be a victim in the game and have people come against you and pick on you and stuff, well, it might be useful. But if that's your focus, then you're not really thinking about the game. You're trying to preach, and that's annoying. Right. Anyway, this goes on to creating investigators. Yeah, I could spend an hour, a couple of hours in this. He's like, I nearly averaged 40 minutes before you opened the book. But this is cool. You know, I mean, I can sit here, I can sit on my own and go and read through it, or I can talk through it and get a bit of feedback as well. And hopefully, as well, if you're nervous about coming on this, or sorry, taking part in this game in any format or starting, I'd like to think I'm alleviating some fears. I like to think that I'm at least convincing you to give things a go. So if somebody invites you to a role-playing game and you're kind of nervous about it, don't be. Nothing bad is actually going to happen. It's not like extreme getting tied up and stuff and, you know, your life's in the It's just having a bit of fun and using your imagination. And that's something we're sorely missing today. People don't use their imagination anymore. They want spoon-fed and they want everything spelled out for them. So actually stretching yourself, and that's what this will do. And you'll be surprised once you utter them first words, or you put on the funny voice, or you act in a way that's not yourself. Was it last week? What was last week? I'm playing a pious paladin knight, which is so antithesis to me as a person. It's hilarious. I'm praying for people and stuff. You know, that's not me, but I got invested in the character, and that's part of the fun. I've played in Vampire, for example, I played an Asamite, but the character was insane, who thought he was James Bond. And I'm describing what I want to do, and then what it is, the characters are seeing me just doing absolutely mental things during the game, and they're going, what the hell's up with him? You know, but that was fun to dive into. God, what else? I haven't played the sort of sneaky backstabber type character. That's something I'll be something interested in doing, playing that sort of sneaky, because those sort of people in real life disgust me. Now, this is where I'm talking about. You might find something to steal. I find those two-faced, sneaky, underhanded little weasel types. I think it should be, once you've identified one, you just put them out of their misery. They're in the spot. You know, the one that always sucks up to the boss, the workplace, trying to drop you in, and they're the ones that sell you out to the enemy and stuff. I've always wanted to play one of those type of characters because that's so not me. And I think initially I'd find that uncomfortable. But that's what I'm talking about. You stretch yourself. You play something that's not you. Oh, hang on. Clever storytelling role playing is so much fun. Yeah, that's the whole point. You're actually telling a story, and then you can go back and talk about it, and you have something in common, and then you've experienced something that nobody else has, and you have like in talk because nobody knows what you're on about until they've been there. I want to do the sequel down the road with Angor, and then near side of Ken, there are ogres there. Well, that's the adventure we played. Yeah, brilliant, a lot of fun. Just playing characters that were antithesis and dice rolls or the card draws in that case. Not of them, most times it didn't go well, but that's the way. That's the way of it. But you have a laugh. You don't let it intimidate you. You don't let the idea of doing this is meant to be enjoyable. And as long as you have that mindset, it's all good. So same as, play the distasteful history parts of it, but play the positive aspects too. Because everyone forgets the flipping early 20th century, the pinnacle of the Industrial Revolution. People were flying for the first time. People were traveling the world easily. Vaccinations, against MMR, cholera, things like that. That was gone. Sanitation, there was proper sanitation in houses, healthcare. These sad, miserable creatures focus on the people said hurdy words or had terms for people because they didn't understand them or people didn't mingle. You can tell all these arseholes live in the same postcode in the LA. That's their kind of mindset, but God's sake, we've had so much wonders in the world that I would not be sitting here talking to you now if it wasn't for Tim Berners-Lee in 1974, I believe it was. That the hyperlink, personal computers, the ability to, the fact that I can click a few buttons and this book arrives a few days later. Do you know what I mean? Stop dwelling on the negativity. Fucking enjoy life. Sorry, I'm just preaching about it, but I'm reading some of this stuff and they always have to get these wee digs in and knows that with the starter set as well. Oh, right, here we go. The monsters. What was that game? Wasn't Doom. They had Sugar Off. Now Sugar Off done it. Monsters, Beasts, and Alien Gods. That's the thing of those with Roll20. We don't have as good as maps. They're not set up as well as D&D, but then D&D is a more popular game, so I understand. But yeah, we've got well, sort of creatures to play with. And then the fun thing is this, you don't just meet the monster and beat it. You encounter one of these things, you're rolling for sanity because it's just overwhelming your senses. You're going like, oh. So, Eldrick's Bane, once you start meeting those, you're in for, even if you survive the encounter, your mind might do the same thing. So that's how to do. Playing monsters effectively. Monsters are, for the most part, not minded animals. Many are of equal or greater intelligence than the investigators, with motivations and concerns beyond the scope of the average human's understanding. Monsters will not automatically seek combat, and if they do, they will not necessarily seek to kill the investigators. More intelligent monsters may take the investigators captive, either to use as slaves or sacrifices, or perhaps for experimental purposes. Not every encounter has to be a fight. Hiding or fleeing may be the wisest option. When involved in combat, consider the monster's objective. If its aim is to kill the investigator, it should fight back rather than dodge. If it wants to escape from the investigators, it may choose to dodge in order to gain the opportunity to flee. Many Mythos monsters can use spells, casting them as any other spellcaster would. In some cases, the monster spell may be portrayed as a manifestation of that monster's innate power. Monsters may not have skills listed, though most or all might have a few skills such as listen, stealth, or spot hidden. Keepers should add skills as required, using comparative beings as a guide. Mythos gods and some Mythos monsters are multidimensional, existing in our plane of reality as well as others beyond our reasoning, and thus cannot be truly slain. While hit points are given, should each creature as an outer god or a great old one be somehow reduced to 0 or negative hit points, the thing is not killed or rendered unconscious, but has dispelled or forced back the whence it came. Mere damage will not destroy or even harm these powers. If they are forced or persuaded to leave, they can return. There we go. So, as you can see, there is a lot in this. Oh, and it comes with a nice bookmark built in. Don't see these as often anymore. Nice. Double ribbon. All right, so you can mark 2 places. Check that out. So you can mark 2 places in your book. Excellent. got chases right. I could go all night with this. Sit and read it. Just have a read along. But there we go. There's a book. Nice big chunky book. What it'll do is it'll give me a bit more reference points for Saturday. I'm not going to try and memorize it. That'd be madness. But I'd have to roll my own sanity after that. But I just wanted to have like the full book. I had the wee tester with the games. I get the ideas all. It's supposed to be quick. But we've all played games. We want to get more in depth with it. But there you go. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Chris, thanks for joining in the chat. Really appreciate it, mate. And I hope you enjoyed this video, even though it went on a bit. I think you knew it was going to happen. But there you go. Next Saturday, the schedule streams up on the channel, so set your reminders and keep up to date with all other stuff. Do the typey clicky things. And until next time, keep it creepy, keep it horrific.